Good evening, Team Our Victory. Brittany McMillan here, and tonight I am coming to you live discussing fear. So tonight's topic is all about fear. We're going to chat through how we can kind of quote unquote punch fear in the face, and not necessarily, I don't want to say get rid of it, because truthfully, fear isn't something that you're ever going to get rid of. It's always going to be around, but I have some strategies, just ways that we can kind of punch it in the face so that we can take action, we can overcome our fears, and we can basically not become paralyzed in the work that we're doing. So tonight, there's a couple categories that we're going to talk through. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk through all the types of fears that you might experience in this business as a Beachbody coach. So we're going to talk through those fears so that we can make them real and relevant, so that you don't feel alone. You don't feel like, I have this fear, but nobody else is feeling it. So we're going to talk through that. After we talk through the types of fears, we're going to go and chat through ways that fear can hold you back. What are the repercussions? What is the consequence of giving in to your fears and allowing it to stop you in your tracks? We're also going to talk about how fear sounds in our heads and those voices. And we're going to finish it off by 3 ways where you can just kick that fear to the curb, punch it in the face, and basically take control of your business and not let fear control it. So I'm going to dive right in. So I've got 10 types of fears that we will experience at some point in our business. As female entrepreneurs, you are going to experience all types of fears in this business. These are the 10 that I think are most relevant to, that everything else can fall into this category, and they're very relevant to how we feel. So the first one, first and foremost, is fear of rejection. Fear of rejection. That's a big one, especially for brand new coaches who haven't really dabbled with a lot of rejection. Okay, when you have first started out and you're super excited, I mean, imagine you're starting out a business, you're so excited, you just want everybody to join you for this journey. You know that the stuff you're selling is awesome. You know the shakes taste great. You know the workout programs produce results. Like, you know it. You know in your heart of hearts that it worked for you and it can work for everyone if they give it the chance. But yet you get rejected and it just cripples us, doesn't it? I feel in my business, when people say no, sometimes I take it personally. Like they're saying no directly to Brittany, that the no means, no, Brittany, I'm not buying that from you because you suck. Well, that's not what that means. We have to understand that when somebody's rejecting what we're asking them to join or purchase, it's that tangible item. They're not necessarily rejecting us. And even if they've unfriended us or unfollowed us or unliked our page or whatever it may be, right? Or quit our team, it truly is never about us. We always have to remember that. There is something much deeper going on in their lives that's causing them to push you away. Okay, so the rejection isn't about you. It's never about you. Okay, and if it is about something that you're doing, it truly is a reflection of something that they are missing or lacking in their lives, and they don't want to have to face that. Does that make sense? So fear of rejection, we have to look it in the face. We have to understand that rejection is going to come. When you're trying to sell something, there are 2 options. There's yes and there's no. And so you're going to get both. You're going to get people that tell you, yeah, sure, I want to buy that. And you're going to get people that say, no, thank you, right? So rejection. Number 2, another type of fear that we will face is fear of failure or fear of coming up short. Maybe you've set goals for yourself and you're thinking, man, I'm not going to make that goal. I'm just so worried that I'm going to fail. Guys, it's so relevant. Maybe when you started this business, what if I don't succeed? Like, what if I can never become a great coach? Guys, I still face that. I've been in this business almost 3 years, and on a daily basis, I still have to tell myself, Brittany, you can do this. You can do this. Failure all the time. And every time we fail, guys, it's a way for us to move forward. And when we understand that a fear of failing, when we actually physically do face that failure, there's only one way to go, and it's to go up. It's to learn from your mistakes and to make better the next time, right? So failure is inevitable. And without failure, we can't truly have success. So we have to be careful, because that fear of failure, if you let it stop you in your tracks, you're never going to have success. You're truly never going to have it. So fear of failure, fear of coming up short, very relevant in this business. Number 3, fear of judgment. Fear of what other people are going to think of us, right? So what if somebody thinks that I'm a creepy salesperson? Then they think you're a creepy salesperson. Are you? I guess the real question is, can you look at yourself and your business and your practice and say, without a doubt, I am not a creepy salesperson. So if somebody thinks I am, that's kind of weird. If you can say that without a doubt, then you shouldn't have to have the fear of it, right? Fear of judgment. We want to be people pleasers. The nature of this business is to help other people. So when people are judging us and taking what we're doing and putting it into a different category, it doesn't feel right. It feels bad because that's not who we are. But the more authentic you are, the more genuine you are, and the more that you know your purpose and your mission and the path that you're on, the less you're really going to care about the judgment of other people. Yesterday, I was inviting some people to Run Your Happy Place. And I came across a couple names that were like, oh my gosh, what if they don't like it? Or what if they think this is weird that I'm sending them this invite? And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm clicking it anyway. Because what if they do like it? And what if something comes of that? And these are some heavy hitting people it made me sweat inviting them to just Run Your Happy Place. One of them being the creator, Ellen Latham of Orange Theory Fitness, that woman, friends with her on Facebook, right? I don't even know how that happened, but I invited her to Run Your Happy Place. So what if she does? What if she doesn't? What if she judges my page? Cool. I know my mission, right? So I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, fear of judgment. And guys, like I said, this was me last night, fearing judgment. It's natural. It's normal, but you've got to punch that fear in the face. You've got to let it go. Okay. Next fear is the fear of letting someone down. So what if we let somebody down in this business? What if we let down a family member? Or what if we let down somebody who is in our challenge group and they're trying to lose weight? Or what if we let down anybody, right? What if we're letting people down? Here's the reality. If you're doing your job, if you're working hard, if you're pouring your heart into what you're doing and you're truly giving everything, you're not going to let anybody down. You're not. The only person you're ever truly going to let down in anything is yourself. And you've always got to remember that. It's always you that you're worried about letting down. So with that fear of, I'm so worried that I'm going to let somebody down, it's not that you fear you're going to let somebody down. You are fearing that you can't measure up to your own standards, that you're afraid you're going to let your own self down. So knowing that, again, is half the battle, right? Which just comes back into kind of some work ethic things. If you're afraid of letting somebody down, afraid of letting yourself down, well, then you've got to rise up to the occasion. You've got to write down the things that matter to you, that if you don't do these things, you'll feel let down, right? Or if I don't want to let down my challengers, right? I don't want to let them down. And so, but imagine if I went 3 days and I didn't check into the group. I'd be letting them down. So you know what? That's a priority. That's a priority in my business. That's a priority in my daily behaviors. It doesn't matter what I do. Last weekend, my brother was in town and we were in the car driving and nobody was on their phone. So it was so rude for me to be on my phone. But I said, listen, guys, I told Charlie and I told my brother, I said, listen, guys, I have to check in with my challengers. I've been MIA all day. I haven't been able to go in and comment on their stuff. So please, just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to check in with my group and then I'll be back in conversation full swing. So sometimes it's as simple as that. Just putting your priorities in order, right? Looking at what's really important to you for that day. If you don't want to let down somebody, if you don't want to let down a teammate, right? If you don't want to let somebody down because you weren't on a team call, we'll make the team call a priority, right? If you don't want to let somebody down because, you drop rank or, it's everything, then just do it. Then figure out what's important and do those actions. Next type of fear is not knowing where to start. And this one is crazy because this one happens a lot. I find myself doing this. I'll sit down to write a blog or I'll sit down to work on something and I'm like, it's almost like I have so many ideas that I don't even know where to harness one, And so we have to understand, though, that if we're afraid of starting, then nothing's ever going to happen. And so sometimes, maybe that Facebook post isn't perfect. Maybe the blog article wasn't perfect. Maybe I didn't edit or, make my photo look like everybody else's. But you know what? I got to just start. I got to just put something out there, make it happen. And then I can get better as I go, right? But if you never start, if you're always waiting for that perfect moment to begin something because you're just afraid of all of that, it's never going to work for you. Okay? You're never going to have anywhere to go. The other thing is, if you don't know where to start, if you're stuck in this business and you're like, but there's just so much, where do I begin? You got to go back to the basics. You got to go to the basics of thinking, coach basics, right? Invite, talking to people every day, getting on that social media and posting 3 to 5 times a day, drinking your shakes, posting about it, doing your workouts, posting about it. All those things are places where you can start. If you don't know where to start, go do your workout. If you don't know where to start today, make a shake. If you still don't know where to start after you did all that stuff, read some personal development. If you still don't know where to start, listen to a podcast on, from a Beachbody coach on the Team Beachbody podcast. All of those are great places to start because they also get your wheels turning. Okay, so I find when I'm stuck, sometimes when I'm really stuck and I just don't know where to start, I've got to get myself out of that rut and transfer my behavior somewhere else. So I usually go back to those vital behaviors: personal development, doing my workout, connecting with people, checking with groups, things like that. Okay, next, fear. Fear of not being an expert. It's funny, expert, right? Because nowadays, anyone can be an expert on social media, I feel like. Anybody, like any fool can pretend like they're an expert at something. But guys, this is the best part about Beachbody. This is why coaching works for everyone, because you don't have to be an expert to be a coach. There is no requirement to have a degree in any sort of nutrition or to have a degree in any sort of fitness, right? There's no requirement for that. All you have to have is a heart for helping people. That's all you have to have. So I want you to start thinking of yourself as an expert helper, right? So if somebody needs something, they have a question for you. Oh my gosh, let me find the answer for you. What workout would you recommend? Well, what do you like to do, right? Be an expert helper. Be an expert at connecting with people. But you don't have to be an expert in fitness, okay, or an expert in nutrition. You simply just have to have a desire to learn. Okay, there is a coach on Team 180. Her name's Patricia Odie, and I consider her to be an expert in nutrition. But you know what? She doesn't have a degree in that or anything. She just simply has such a passion for nutrition that she researches it, she lives it, she breathes it, she talks about it all the time, and she's just kind of made her life surrounded by nutrition. And so whenever I have a question about something nutrition-based, she's like my go-to always, always, always. And so I encourage you, like, if there's something you're passionate about in this business, nutrition, maybe you're really passionate about the fitness aspect of things, or cardio or weightlifting or whatever it may be, any aspect, right? Start becoming your own little expert in it. The more that you slowly learn and grow yourself, the more people are going to then look at you as an expert. So if you're afraid of not being an expert today, then the action steps you'd take with that type of fear would be to put a foot forward and start researching areas where you don't feel as confident, right? Okay, number 7. Next type of fear is not attracting customers. And this one is relevant for all of us as coaches because that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to attract new customers. So like, what if I can't get anybody new? Well, there's some key things that we're doing wrong if we can't get new people. One is we're not opening the doors to meet new people. Okay, meaning, are you friend requesting new people every day? Are you getting in there and connecting with people on social media? Are you talking to people in real life? Are you talking to your warm circle, your family and your friends and the people that maybe they could then talk to? Are you talking to people that you work with? Stuff like that, okay? So if you're not attracting customers, chances are you're not having enough conversations. So fearing that you're not attracting customers, well, that's a relevant fear. I worry about that too. What happens if people don't want to be in my group? What happens if I can't get more people this month, right? But instead of worrying about not getting new customers, you've got to take action for what the fear is, right? So you're seeing kind of an underlying theme that for every fear I'm giving you, there's things that you can do to simply overcome it. And we're not even at that part yet, but you can see as I'm talking through it, and kind of explaining each type of fear in this business, that all of them have an action step behind them to kind of almost just reverse that fear and counteract it. Okay, fear number 8, fear of taking risks. Okay, newsflash, to join as a coach was a big risk. That's a risk. You already took a risk. To say I'm going to do a fitness program from start to finish is a risk. To say I'm going to change my nutrition and my eating habits, I'm going to become a better version of myself, it's a risk. So you're already taking risks, right? And And the best part about this business is you are the CEO. You are the owner. You are in charge of whatever you do each day with this business. So if you invite 10 people to a challenge group today, then you're in charge of that. If you invited nobody, then that's what you're in charge of today. You're in charge of what it is exactly that you do. And some days you might do more. Some days you might do less. It just depends on that kind of day, right? But you've already experienced taking risks. So all you've got to do is just continue to chip away at taking risks, because ultimately they're going to pay off. Some of them might backfire and then you learn from them, right? Some of them you might say, you know what? I tried that, didn't work exactly how I thought it was going to, and then the next time you can make it better. But if you never take a risk, then you never know how to improve upon things, right? So risks are inevitable in this business. You've got to take them. You've got to face that fear, and you've got to do it. Number 9, fear of inadequacy, that you're not enough, right? And this goes so deep, guys, with being fear of like not being enough. And as I read through all these fears, I can tell you each one of them I feel to some degree each week. Each week. There's times each week that I feel like I'm not enough. Am I a good enough leader for our team? Am I a good enough coach for my challengers? Am I cut out for Beachbody? Am I good enough at fitness? Like, inadequacy is inevitable, right? We always want to feel like we're enough. And so we're worried if we're not, or if we're not measuring up to what we think we should be. But you know what saves me all the time when I start feeling like maybe I'm not enough? I think about how far I've come. That helps me big time. But I also read my books for personal development so that I can see that I'm not like, that I am enough. I read books that empower me, and then I put that into my mind, right? I try to force feed those kinds of thoughts into my mind when I'm having a day where I'm not really feeling like it. Okay. And the last one, number 10, our last fear that we're going to address tonight is fear of growth. So fearing that okay, so I'm doing well, but it's going to take me way out of my comfort zone to grow and expand. And you know what, guys, that's just life. Like, could you imagine if you just stopped and then 30 years from now, you're sitting around as an old person and you're just like, yeah, I'm kind of the same as I was 30 years ago. Stopped growing, stopped caring, stopped learning. That would not be so cool, right? So it is true that we do get afraid of getting out of our comfort zone. We get comfortable in this little safe bubble. But if we don't grow and expand, oh my gosh, we're missing out on so many opportunities in this life that we've been given. So growth, it's got to happen. I look back at a lot of people that I went to high school with, and it's so funny, the people who you see that kind of stopped growing, right? They just kind of stopped, and they're just stuck in this loop of the same thing maybe their parents and their grandparents did. And they're living in the same hometown and kind of doing the same things that you used to do when you guys were in high school. And you're like, dude, get a life, grow, right? Just grow already. That's what we're made to do. That's what we're designed to do, is grow and evolve. So it's inevitable, but you can easily get stuck. You can easily get stuck if you just want to be in that safe comfort zone. So it does take the fear number 8, taking risks. When we take risks, that helps us to inevitably grow as well. Okay. So those are the fears. I'm going to go back through real quick one last time in case anybody missed a couple as I was kind of going through. So we had fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of judgment, what other people think, fear of letting somebody down. Number 5 was the fear of not knowing where to start. Number 6, fear of not being an expert. Number 7 was the fear of not attracting customers. Number 8 was the fear of taking risks. Number 9, fear of inadequacy. And the last one, number 10, fear of growth. Okay, so those are all fears that we will all face in this business. And I encourage you, when you get to one of those fears, knowing is half the battle. You know what? Today I'm really afraid of rejection right now. That just happened to me. And the reason I can't hit send to this person is because I'm afraid they're going to reject me. Do it anyway, right? So let's talk through ways fear is going to hold you back. So if we allow ourselves to succumb to these 10 fears in this business, here's what might happen. 1, you may miss out on some awesome new friendships. You guys, there are people on our team that I didn't know. I didn't know them when I started as a Beachbody coach. They weren't on my radar. They weren't even in my circle. And I can't imagine my life without you guys. I can't. I simply can't. So you have to understand that If 2.5 years ago, I was really afraid and I just kind of stopped, I stopped facing my fears and I just stopped everything, you have to understand that I never would have got to connect with some of you. I never would have met you. We never would be sharing this night together. So you have to understand that even if today is hard, even if in the moment you're in just like a really hard time, a really hard season of your business, it just feels difficult, you've got to know that there's somebody out there one day that needs you, that totally needs you and only you. And the amazing friendships that you're going to create because of that. I mean, that's the prize, right? That is totally the prize. Going hand in hand with that, another thing that's a result is that person needs your message. They're going to miss it. So imagine if I didn't ask one of you guys to be in my challenge group one day, or imagine if I decided, you know what, it's too scary, I'm not going to run this challenge group. What if people say no, or I'm not an expert, or this is just too big of a risk to take, or what if I'm not good enough, or what if I let them down, or what if I don't know how to start a challenge group, or do you see where I'm going with this? What if I let all of those fears get in my way of running a challenge group? Then somebody that needed that challenge group, that needed my message, they would have totally missed it, right? You got to think about the power of what we're really doing. You also have more to offer beyond every failure. So blessings and burdens kind of go hand in hand, right? Like if I've been blessed with a big house, like, oh my gosh, I've got this huge mansion. It's such a blessing, like my dream home, right? You get this mansion, but then all of a sudden you realize there's more yard work to do and there's more dusting to do around the house. And oh my gosh, there's a pool I got to clean now. And now I got to pay money for somebody to take care of all this stuff. So that's going to be a burden, right? So with blessings come burdens. This job opportunity is such a blessing, but there will be burdens along the way. And the burdens aren't reason for you to just say, you know what, I can't do it, I got to quit. That really separates the weak from the strong real easily. It really does. So you've got to understand that with every failure, there's going to be a lesson. There's going to be something beyond that the blessing is just going to be so amazing that the failure won't even matter anymore, right? So you've got to know that beyond the failure, there's so much more to offer. And you'll never know, like all those what ifs, like what if I had started running challenge groups? What if I actually started earning money? What if I actually built a team? What if I started hosting webinars? What if I rose to the occasion and became a leader on my team and got in there every day and encouraged my teammates? What if I, started asking people to run challenge groups side by side with me? What if I just started reaching out to more people? Like all those what ifs, right? You never want to have those regrets. So I encourage you, don't let the fear get in your way so much that you end up having regret because of it. So what do voices of fear sound like? What are some of our voices of fear? They're easy to hear. And so the reason I'm telling you what they sound like is because the more we know what fear sounds like, the more we can stop it in its tracks and say, okay, we're done. Get out of my head. We're done with you today. Not welcome here, because I have to do that a lot. So one of them is, I love it. It's always who are you to do that? Like, who are you? Why do you think you should be able to do these groups? Or who do you think you are? You're going to be successful. You really think you can be successful? I'd like to show you like exhibit A behind me. This is my mantra for the month. Why not me? Right? Why not me? Why not me? And why not you? Right? So when the voice says, who are you to do that? Or you are never going to amount to that, or that's not for you. Other people can be skinny, and other people can be healthy, and that's not who you are. That's not you. Who do you think you are? Silence that voice, because that's the voice of fear creeping in, letting you think that you're not enough, letting you think that failure is going to happen. Silence that voice. Another voice that you might hear is the voice of like timing. Like, oh, I should have joined sooner. Or like, oh, I didn't start a challenge group this month. It's too late. Or I don't have any Success Club points and there's only a week left of the month. It's just too late, right? That is a fear voice in your head. It's trying to tell you that you're late to the party, but guess what? The party's still going. Like, you're never going to be late to start anything. Just start. It doesn't matter if the month's over. It doesn't matter if the month's just started. It doesn't matter if so-and-so's already running a challenge group and this person over here is doing a free challenge group and you feel like you missed the boat. Do it. Like just jump in where you are as you are and just go. Just do it. You're never too late. So when you do hear that voice, like trying to let you know about timing, like your timing is off, silence that voice. Don't listen to the timing voice. Your timing is not off. Remember, if you, that fear about not knowing where to start, you just got to do it. If you let that fear voice sink in, that's like, yeah, you're too late to the party. It's too late. Everybody already started it. Well, then you're not going to start. And we already know where that's going to go, right? Okay, and the last fear voice that we might hear often is the one about perfection. Like, that one it's not a good enough blog, Britt. I wouldn't post that one. Your workout pictures don't look good enough today. Don't post those. Oh, you don't look good in that outfit. Oh, your hair doesn't look good today. Oh, you know what? You don't have any coaches on your team, so you shouldn't even ask anybody to join your team because you don't have a team to even join. So, right? Like that's that voice that's trying to tell you that you're not good enough, that you're not perfect. Newsflash, no one's perfect, right? So silence that voice because we're all here. Remember, we're trying to grow. We're trying to measure up. We're trying not to let people down, but we're ultimately not trying to let ourselves down. So silence that perfection voice because it is what is most paralyzing to people in this business, that they're just not good enough or perfect enough. So why even bother, right? False. Bother. Okay, last part before we wrap it up for the evening. So 3 ways to punch that fear in the face, kick it to the curb, end it for good. First one, and we talked through this. As I talked through each one of these fears tonight, each one of our 10 fears, I did talk through kind of like a reversal thought process to it, right? For example, when you fear rejection, you have to understand that it's inevitable and that no matter what, when you go to ask that question, there's always going to be people that will say yes and there's always going to be people that will say no. Like you have to have that balance, but that doesn't mean that it's a personal attack on you, okay? So I did give you kind of some ways to think through those fears, but here are 3 ways that I know, like right now, if you've got a fear, here's how to kick it to the curb. Punch it in the face. 1 is to take action. Fear hates action. It hates when you actually do it. So the fear in your head, the fear that's lingering in your mind, and it's telling you, oh, you can't do that. You're not good enough. You're not ready for that. Who are you to think that? Oh, you're too late. Just worry about it next month. That fear hates when you actually turn around and then go do it. So the fear that's telling you that you're not good enough and then you actually go and you're good enough, it silences itself. It does. It just stops because you proved it wrong. You're not giving it like the energy, right? And the attention. Do something every day that makes you scared in this business. Ultimately, the more you start doing stuff that you're afraid of, the less and less scary it is. When we're ultimately afraid of things that we don't know the outcome, right? When something is, we don't truly know how it's going to turn out, that's when we're a little afraid of it. So if you're doing stuff and you see how the outcomes happen, then you start realizing, oh, that's not so bad. That's how that'll turn out each time, right? Or it turned out like that this time, but then this time it turned out like this. So that's not so bad. It's not, right? But you got to take action. You got to do stuff so you can see how it all turns out for you. Number 2 is to be aware. So those voices of fear that I was explaining to you, those are so important. Be aware of them. You've got to listen to those voices. Oh, not listen so that you can like believe them, but you have to hear them. Acknowledge, you know what? That's a fear voice. That's a fear voice in my mind right now. And you know what? Fear hates being like made to look stupid, right? So sometimes it's funny. I'll write it down. Like I'll make a post out of it. I'll make a post out of how I didn't think I was enough today. And then I go back and I read my post and I'm like, that is so silly. What those words you just wrote down are so silly, Brittany. That's so wrong. But sometimes when you document it, you write it down and you document that fear, it's like, dang, that fear is really silly, but it's really real in my mind. But I put it on paper and it's not that real after all. So document it. Be aware of it. Hear that voice. Stop that voice. Document it. Make that voice feel dumb. And then go do something. Take action. You can also allow yourself time, guys. Sometimes and I don't mean time like in the sense that like be paralyzed and never start anything. I don't mean it like that. When I say allow yourself time, I mean like give yourself grace. Try. Take action and try. know that some days are going to be harder than others, and that's okay. But just because a day is hard doesn't mean that you have to quit and give up and that you don't do, right? So keep that in mind. Allowing yourself time, being aware of those voices, and just kind of documenting that process, journaling about it, coming onto the team page and telling people about it, seeing if other people are experiencing similar situations. Those are really great skills as a newer coach to start possessing, because they're going to take you like out of those levels of fear a lot quicker than maybe you would if you just kind of kept it all inside, right? And the last way to kind of get rid of this fear, and not really get rid of it, because fear is always going to be around, right? But to be aware of it and to kind of take control over it, is to flip your mindset. Flip your mindset. Make things a game. Like there's an audio book called Go for No that's really great that I suggest you listen to if you're afraid of that rejection. Go for No is like a game. And we have a document in Team Our Victory that I created based off of this audio book called Go for No. And basically it's a fun way, like I want to get 100 no's this month. I want 100 people to tell me no. And once I get 100 no's, it's like I get a prize, right? Like I can treat myself to something. Because guess what? With those 100 no's, imagine how many people had to say yes also in the process. Because you're going to ask somebody, hey, do you want to join my challenge group? And then they're going to say, no. Okay, cool. Awesome. I got to check. Go for no. Okay. Hey, do you want to join my challenge group? Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'd like more information. Man, I was trying to go for no, right? You could turn it into a game. Like flip your mindset. Make it fun. Make it something that like, that it's not so scary after all, right? If I don't care about hearing no's because I know my mission and I know my purpose, and I'm just kind of turning it into a game, it's going to be crazy how many yeses you'll get in the process. But flipping your mindset and using personal development is my lifesaver when it comes to fear. Some great books. You Are a Badass is a really good book. Just if you have a little bit of insecurity going on and maybe you're fearful of a couple things in that realm. So You Are a Badass. I Am That Girl is a really good one too, to kind of empower yourself. There's a book called Start by Jon Acuff, and it actually on the front cover says punch fear in the face, do stuff that matters, something like that, and a whole thing. But it's called Start. Okay. And that's a great one to read if you are worried and apprehensive about fears. But those are like my 3 go-tos when I'm feeling like I just can't do this. Like fear has got a hold of me, but it doesn't. It doesn't have to have a hold of you guys. Okay. And so I hope tonight's webinar kind of gave you, a glimpse into the reality. We all face fears. It's so normal. It's so normal to face those fears, and they're not going to go away. I'm not telling you like, after tonight, now that you know all this, you'll never face a fear again. No, you're going to face fears, but now you're empowered to go forth and face them so that you can essentially be successful, right? We don't want our fears to hold us back to the point that we either quit this business because we let them overpower us, or that, we just ultimately never really do anything with our lives in terms of success because we always let the fear get in the way. So that is it for my webinar tonight. Next week, just FYI, it is going to be the Q&A. So this week, from now until next Thursday, I want you to start writing down questions, any and all, that you want to ask me, because every last webinar of the month, right now we're doing Q&A, live Q&A, where you guys will be on asking the questions and I will be giving my best answers possible. So that's all I've got for you guys tonight. I hope you're having a wonderful week, getting ready for a great weekend. Guys, the month is almost over, but we still have time. So if you're on that board for Success Club, or you don't even have any points yet, start really reaching out to people. Start getting those one-on-one connections. Don't worry about the rejection. What you need to start looking at is how much you're trying to help people, right? And gearing yourself towards that. So I know that if your heart is in the right place and you're truly coming to people with that intention, only amazing things can happen for you in your business. As always, I'm here to help. If you have any questions, take it to the team page and we can chat there. Other than that, guys, have a wonderful evening.